Okay, so let's have a look on this simple example, or you can say tab interaction that you do in your e-learning development, and majority of the time. As of my experience, I found that each and every interaction is like this. It's a click and learn activity. Sometimes you can call it as tab interaction. Sometimes you can call it as a click and reveal, and someone call as a different patterns as well. So we can do this in a different way. Instead of doing it all this different way, I will try to do this in a 3 or 4 different way, by depending upon the knowledge you have as it on a trigger and layers, slide layers, and variables as well. So let's have a look on one of the basic simple way that I did this one. So we have 4 buttons over here, and once I click on the respective tab, it will be showing the content for the respective one. So it's a basic that I did, but you can go with the on different way as well. So what I did, I created a 4 button for this one. You can see you can have a look of button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4. I haven't given any name on them. I just need the level them, tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, tab 4. And you can see there is only one text over here. The text field name is detail, and there is nothing on the slide layer as well. And there are some triggers that I'm going to explain very soon on that. And you can see this, there is nothing on the text and nothing on the timeline as well, apart from these 5 layers. So where are the text? The challenge is that the text are in the states. So what I did in a basic way, I just created a 4 tabs. Depend 4 tabs. We have a 4 tabs on this. So I just created 4 different states for this text field: tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, tab 4. And depending upon the user click, I'm just playing with that one. So I write a trigger like this one, that change status of my uh, detailed text field, change states of the my detailed text field to tab 1 when user click button 1. So this is a basic symbol that I did. So when someone click on tab 1, so my state for the my text field will be going to change from text 1. And similarly for tab 4, once you click on tab 4, you can see the tab 4 is going to be clicked, and the text field will show the tab 4. So let's have a look once again, so that will make very clearly on that what I'm trying to say. So I'm directly clicking tab 4. So tab 4, you can see over here, tab 3, tab 3, tab 2, tab 2, tab 1, tab 1. Let's close this one. So you can see it's a very simple, just use 4 trigger, nothing to be too fancy, that haven't created this one, any text on that, or any any layer, any variables on that. But now let's have a look on a different way that we can proceed on that. So I'm just creating a new layer, slide layer, that's it. And I'm making this one as the first one. Go like this, and okay, so this is my first one. Just renaming this one as a S1, and you can do by this on a right click as well over here, rename. But I used to this one by clicking over here, is the faster way. So this is the basic page that we have. We have a next and back button. I do not need that next and back button, so I will remove from this over here. But I just need a previous button from here, because I can go to the the previous pages as well for my use. So let's have a look on this, how to create. Let's first we will create 4 buttons. So I'm just going to the very basic way, creating first button, and giving the name of this button is tab 1. And to be just modification and done, I just click on the states and click on the visited state, and just made it as a green, so that I can know that this button is completed his states once we completed this one. So just by pressing the control, I am just duplicating the same button, so I will get the same button as with the dimensions and all other stuff on that. So once anything you did wrong, just Control Z, and by just editing tab 2, tab 3 and tab 4. So this is the 4 buttons we have 4 button now. They are just want to align them so and distribute them, so they are now distributed, and they are on a top align as well. So we have a second approach, the same approach that we follow for the first example. We can create this with the help of 4 layer. So what I will do, I will I will go to the layer section and create layer 1 and tab it as tab 1 details. So I'm renaming the this one, the first layer, and just adding one shape over here and giving the name it as tab 1 details. So you can see on over here, first one we have blue, and basically we have 4 buttons. So what I'm trying to do, I'm creating 4 different layers, and depending upon the user click, I'm going to play this one in a different way. So tab 1, just by clicking copy, and tab 2 detail, tab 3 detail, and one more we have to do, tab 4 detail, tab 4 detail. And similarly we will change the name over here as well, object. So here we have tab 1, so I'm just giving the name 444. For third I'm adding 333. For 2 I'm adding 2222222, and for 1 we have this one, just adding 111. So come to the base layer, and you will see we have these 4 buttons. Now what we have to do, we just have to add a simple one line trigger to each and one individual buttons. So what I'm trying to do, I want to write a trigger when someone click on the tab 1. I want to show that this layer, first one layer. So my trigger will be add a trigger. What, jump to slide? No, not jump to slide. We want to show a layer. So show layer. Which layer we want to show? We want to show tab 1 detail. When we want to show, when the user click button 1. So this is our simple trigger that we did, and you can see once we publish this and we want to take a look on the preview. So you can see we have tab 1 detail, but there is nothing to be in tab 2, tab 3. Why? Because we haven't added any hello, any triggers on that. So I'm just copying this trigger and pasting it over here. For sorry, selecting this, paste. Instead of this, just rename this. So tab 3, and this paste is tab 4. So this interaction is ready. Now we can see if you click any of the buttons, it will show you the respective detail, respective one. So once I click level 3, it shows level 3, level 2, level 2, level 1, level 1. So this is how this can be done as well with the help of layers. Okay, so this one is, I mean, the first method we completed, we used the layer property for the storyline, and we added this simple interaction. You can edit or do the designing part as of your whatever your need, depending upon your project or your whatever that you are working on that. So this video, my target is to complete this video as soon as with the different ways that you can go, and then in the last I will explain you why you can go with which pattern, I mean which way you can start the developing on that one, because there are different ways that you can do the same thing in a storyline. So this my method 1 is just give me a second so that I can add a level over here. This will method 1, I can say method 1, this is and let's copy this one and paste it and naming the name at method 2. So method 2 is what? Method 2 is that what in this interaction we are doing, we are creating all four buttons as like this is we created in the past. Okay, and let's do some let's move to some more complication where you have something to be more the content is something that you will not want to move your learner to without completing this one. So the my approach for this one will be, initially I'm keeping all my four buttons to be active, so learner can read anything from any tab. So basically it's not in order, and once they completed this all four, then I'm trying to move to, or I'm adding or giving the control to learner to they can move to the next one. So let's suppose the same interaction, and we have a next button for this one, this type of interaction as well. So let's consider this is our next button. This is our next button, and we want this button to be active once all these four buttons will be completed. So what I will do, first initially I will go to the state of this next button, disable state, and change the color for this one, and default state for this will be, I'm just making it as disable. So what happened, once the this slide is loaded, so the next button will be disabled. Now I want to add individual details for this one. So uh, the second approach that I'm giving over here, I'm adding one rectangle over here. On this rectangle, I'm just adding four different states. So tab 1 details, just copying this one to tab 2 details, and the next one is tab 3 details, uh, last one is tab 4 details. Okay, so we have a 4 detail space. For the 4, I just want to add few text in this. So instead of going to this blank, I'm just adding 1 2 3. So once learner will click, then we want to add what we want to add, we want to show this one respectively on that. And after the completion of this, we will be giving the next button, will enable the next button for the learner. Okay, so the approach is very simple to the as the previous one. We have this rectangle, just giving the name to this one as the details. So we have a rectangle that name is detail, and that have all the content for the tab 1 to tab 4. What I want to do, change the status of change the status of a detail rectangle to tab 1 when someone clicks what button, the tab 1 button. So tab 1 buttons will be done. So now if you play this play this slide, you will find that there is nothing over here, but if you click, the one is coming and nothing is happening for the next one. The reason is that we haven't added any trigger to that. So just copying this trigger and pasting over here, and just changing the name to tab 2 details. Similarly for this one, tab 3 details, tab 4 details. Okay, so we have this we have now accessed the all four states. I mean, we completed all the four text for the each and individual detail tabs. Now what we have to do, we have this next button that we want to enable once the learner is completed all these four ones. So we can do this in a different way as well. If you know the variable property, then it's very simple, and if you don't know variable property, in that case it is also very simple. So don't worry about that one. Let's think on the what we want to do. We want to do the next button will be enable once all these four will be completed. So completed, this means what? This all four are visited. This all four are visited. So let's have a look on that. We have a visited state or not? Yes, we have a visited state for all the buttons. So learner does, if someone click on these four buttons, so let's, in that case, this button will change their states and they come to the visited state. So if we know that these all four states are visited states are completed, then we can enable this one, next button. So let's add a trigger for the next button. So what we want to do, we want to change status of what status of a next button. So this is our next button, button 5, to be normal when timeline start. No, we do not want this one. We want to state of button 1, button 2, button 3 and button 4 are normal. No, not normal, are visited. So once all four this button will be visited, this next button will be enabled. So what happened after enabling? We haven't added any trigger to this one. So either we are asking learner to go to the next or do something on that one as well. So we want learner to go next once they click on this particular next button. So we'll add one more trigger for this one. So jump to slide next slide when user click button 5. Button 5, their name is the next button. Remember, you once you are doing this exercise or this type of adding any this type of a trigger, your last control, that means once you are saying any button to that click and go to this or that, so the last trigger will be your jump to slide. Else what happen, this will be come on up and you sometime it's as of my experience I found that it's not perform the required task. So instead of putting a lot of effort, you make sure that your order for the triggers will be just similar. So you can see initially it's hidden, I mean it's in a disable state. No, now next 4, click on third, click on 2, click on 1. So once I click to 4, all these 4 buttons are coming to be visited states and the next button is enabled. I can go to the next one as I'm just previewing this one. So it's not allowing me to go to the next one. So the simple step for these four this type of activity is that you can just think in a different panel. That's it. The trick for this type of activity always will be the very simple, and it will be the like that what we need to do and what we need to achieve on this one. So this is the one of. Okay, let's start on a different approach and different way that I think that will be the best to all, because over here we will implement the same functionality in a different way with the help of some variables. Because now what happened, we have a scenario that our customer wants that our 4 buttons will be not enabled first. He wants that my first button will be first enabled, second button will be enabled after the completion of first one, and then he wants that the respective will be followed from there. I mean it's a sequential flow that they want, and they do not want learner to be start from the anywhere. So what I did, just created 4 button as you can see, and I just want to make a small change in these all. I go to the state, in disable state, so we just add this one as we did this one. So we have to do copy and paste same, but let's copy the format painter and use this. So you can see now we have this as also, and oh sorry, I missed that one. So double click and it's active, so this is active as well. So now we have all 3 buttons in have the disable state. So what I want initially, my second button will be disabled. Similarly, the third one will be disabled and the fourth one will be disabled. So all three buttons will be disabled and I'll start. So look on this. Okay, these are disabled. So we cannot access this one. Now what they requested that we need all these four buttons to be active one by one. So once learner completed text for tab 1, so tab 2 will be enabled, then tab 3 will be enabled, and tab 4 will be enabled. So this is not something tricky that I can say, but it's a little bit tricky. You just have to think on a different way of your doing your previous example that we did. So it's the same we create like this one, tab 1 tab 1 tab 1. This is our first one that we did for first one, and I'm supposing that my content for the my tab 1 detail is going to be end in a 10 second. So after the 10 second, I'm assuming that my learner is completed to be the whatever the content they're reading. So now what if learner one the tab 1 is clicked and this one is visible, then I want to know the playhead position. If my playhead is completed over here or my this layer is completed, in that case I want to enable the tab 2. So let's add a trigger for that one. Change the status of what button 2 to be normal when timeline start. See, the trick over here is very simple. If you add this one on timeline start, so your tab 2 button will be active once this layer will be active. This layer will be visible. But we do not want this. We want that the learner will the tab 2 button will be active only when our tab is completed. Detail is completed. So what we did, instead of when timeline start, we'll just go and add timeline ends. So timeline ends is a feature where you can get the end of the timeline. So now what happened when someone click on the tab 1 right now, it's nothing happened because we haven't added anything. So we add first trigger by saying that show layer what, so tab 1 when user click tab 1. So we have a control that says that someone click on tab 1, this one is our layer 1 will be visible, and after that layer 1 it's count for it go for the 10 seconds or whatever the timeline ends. Once the timeline is ends for that particular this layer, then it will be do the enabling part for tab 2. So let's have a look on that. Tab 1 still it's not enabled, it's waiting and it's going for the over there and the end. Once it is been end, then this will be the, you can see the tab 2 is enabled. So now tab 2 is enabled. It takes some time. Because why it takes some time? Because we have a time frame that we say given over here 10 seconds. Let's reduce this time second for 3 seconds. So now what happened, within a 3 second of someone click this one, within a 3 second my button will be active. See, button is active. So what happened, the basically it's reading this layer, this my layer, sorry, this one my trigger, this trigger is firing and firing a trigger, and it's controlling the timeline states. It's looking in a timeline like what is going on, like how much time it will take to be completed. Once they completed, then it's firing this event and it's completing this one. The similarly, we just duplicate this one, this, and we just rename this one as with our need, and we'll need to tab 2, and instead of a tab button 2, we'll just add button 3. That's it. Similarly for the tab 3, and you can see tab 3 is there, and one more we have, we will add tab 4. So on tab 4, what we'll do, we will enable one button. The button will be the next button. As I updated that my learner wants to be go to the next only once all these four are completed. So you can see once learner tab 1 is visible, then tab 2 is enabled, tab 2 is visible, tab 3 is enabled, tab 3 is visible, tab 4 is enabled, and tab 4 is visible. Then we have to add one button that we copy from the previous example. Next, and paste it over here as a we you know as a as a default, sorry, as a disable state. And once this all four are active, then we will control it from here and we'll add over here a trigger by that say change status of button 5 to be normal and time enhanced for the button 4. So let's have a look on this one. Nothing is active. Don't worry about this because we have used default one. Tab 1, it's counting. Tab 2, tab 2 is click. Oh, sorry, we haven't added any trigger for the tab 2. So we have to add this trigger. We can just copy the tips, saves our time. Tab 1, tab 2, paste. Just changing the the simple layer property and the events that we added or triggers that we added. So tab 1 is active initially. Someone is click, he is reading blah blah blah. Tab 2 is active. We click tab 2 off. Again, the reason is that we haven't changed the text. So just change the text for this one. Tab 22222, and for this one tab 33333. This one, even though it was performing the same one, but as texts are 111, so you will be not able to find the differences for all these. So we have these four. Tab 1 click, tab 1 is here, tab 2 is active, now the tab 3 is active, so we click on this and now the tab 4 is active. So then once we click tab 4 and tab 4 is completed, then the next button is enabled. You can see over here it takes few seconds to come up. Okay, so sorry, the method 4 is now we will look on that in this tab interaction. And we will do this in some different way by taking into consideration that we are doing this one on with the help of variables. So this is our method 4. Quickly, I'm just adding 4 buttons. Why I'm always creating these all 4 buttons? Because maybe someone who are watching this video, they doesn't have a more exposure in terms of states and buttons and the all other properties. So I'm targeting that guys and helping them so that they doesn't have any differences, or they do not feel any complications over here. Just renaming this one tab 1. Make sure you follow the structure. That means you always keep variables name and layer name, buttons name as with your the property of the button or the thing that is looking on the screen. So just like this one, this is my general approach whenever I work for any of the activity. So I rename the all properties because it will be very helpful for the once you are working for some long project over there. Tons of slides are there, tons of buttons as well. So we added 4 buttons, all buttons, and simply what I'm doing, I'm just creating first 4 layers. As we have 4 buttons, so I'm creating layer 4 layers for each one. Tab 1 detail, details. And this time what I'm doing, this time I'm doing the same way, something like this. This is tab 1. So tab 1, copy, tab 2, tab 3, just want to update you guys that if you want any help on this, any help, any exercise, anything, any new one, who is interested to learn more in deep of articulate, lectora, captivate, surely I will help you on that. You can just contact on that my email, or you can just drop an message over here. Will definitely help you on the best I can do. Yeah, I also provide some trainings as well for the different organizations and the individuals depending upon the requirement. So feel free to connect me, anyone who is interested to learn more on this one, with definitely a small costing will be there. Okay, so let's back to the our assessment. We have four these ones for let's do something different this one. So I'm just creating this one in a such a way that is reducing the size of this each one. So this is 1, this is 2, and color for this will be purple, and the third I'm just reducing and giving this it's to orange. Tab 4, color will be red. So we have 4 different details, 1 2 3 4. In the same way, we have one more buttons over here, the next button that I'm adding over here for the sake of simplicity to the learner, so that they can go to the next with the help of this one. The label for this will be the next. The best way is that next underscore btn. I always do add something like this. Underscore btn stands for standard button. So button, next button will be initially disabled, so we have to just change this disable state first. Editing done, disable. So once this will be loaded, this slide will be loaded, the button will be button will be not active. So now that the concept that we are going to deal over here, we will look for the variables, and we will explain. I will try to explain all the different circumstances, different kinds of variables that you can use over here, and they can help you to do your work in a very similar way. Okay, so we have a same requirement, but this time we are not using the previous methods. Now the customer wants that, no, or maybe I want that, I want to use the variable, use the uh, variable functionalities that are available in this one. So let's create first. We have 4 buttons. Let's suppose if you have a 10 buttons, then you have to create 10 variables, or you can go with a different approach as well. So for my case, or what I prefer, I always prefer to create 4 variables, or whatever the numbers of a tab, as much as variables I create. So we have over here in trigger panel over here rectangle box, that name is manage project variables. So just click on that. Remember, these all tutorials, these all helps will always work for the 360 as well. I do not have 360 access right now, so not able to provide this video over there. So just giving the name of variable var underscore tab 1. This is not a standard. You can rename, or you can name as of your need. You are not allowed to add only numbers over here. You must have to add any text before this one. So make sure that you tab 1 and kept this one. I mean, a storyline have three kinds of variable: true, false, that is boolean; text, that contains a text value; number, that is a number that contains only number values. So in this case we will use true and false variable, and the default value for this variable is false. Okay, just we have this one edit selection, we have a copy selection variable as well. So just copy this one and paste over here, paste. So we will get four variables very easily. Just rename that one tab 2, similarly double click, and this one tab 3, this one tab 4. Okay, and all the default values are 0. You can change depending upon your requirement as well. So we have four values. What we are trying to do, we will change the all variables states over here, and we will check the states from there. So what happened if someone click on tab 1? I just want to change adjust variable, which variable 1 to be true when timeline start. So that's mean timeline starts the same way. It's initially instantly it will hit you. If you want to give some time, so you have a end or you have a reaches, so you can use any of these. So for this simplicity I'm just using this one, start time 1 true. So what happen if once this layer is active, my variable is set to true. I'm just copying this trigger and pasting it over here, just renaming this variable, changing the variable name to 2. This is for third one, so this will be the third, and this will be the fourth one, so this will be the fourth. Okay, 4 3 2 1 sequentially we added the same name because they are associated with each other. So now what happens if someone click on this button? So we know that this button is completed, so we'll enable first we'll enable this one table 2, and then similarly we proceed for the next one as well. Sorry, we do not need this one. So let's go to the tab 1, and we'll add a trigger. We'll say show layer, which layer? Tab 1 layer when user click tab 1. Okay, and copy this one, sorry, copy this layer, and by selecting this, paste tab 2, paste tab 3, tab 4. So all tab 4 are now active, and all once learner click these or variables, this will be active. I mean, variable states of a variable will be also active. How do we know that these are active? So let's check, create a check for these. So over here I'm just adding a text field, and in a text field we have a property that says on a home we have a property that says that you can insert the variable and check their states. They are in a reference tab over here, a reference. By clicking on this, you will just select this one, so you will get the status for first one. Similarly, you can select this status for 2. Don't worry, you will get this one very easily, very clearly why I'm doing this one. Just give me a few seconds, that's it. Okay, so this is how it look like, and we have a trigger that enable the all variables. So initially they are false, false, false. If I click this one, they are not active, so you cannot click. So one, you can see first one is true, and this is visible, but this is not active. So what happened, we have to go there where in a tab 1, and we have to add one more trigger that says change status of tab 2 to normal when timeline start. Remember, this is test, this is just for a sample only, so I'm not going for the timeline ends initially first. Okay, second one is active, you can see second one is true. Once you click, then it is true, and you can see the level is also coming, but third one is not coming. Similarly, this will follow the same just copy this trigger and paste it to over here, and name will be tab 3. Instead of tab 3 it will be tab 4, and instead of tab 1 we'll have tab 2, tab 2 will have tab 3, tab 3 will have tab 4, and the last one will have the next button that we created for this exercise. So if someone is wants you to do a sequential approach, sequential tab interaction, do not be afraid anytime. It's just a simple approach that we did for our previous examples, and that's it. Let's see, first one is true, second is true, third is true, and fourth is also true. Once fourth is true, you can see this next button is active directly. So what happened, we are not using any property of these variables, then why we use this one? The question is that why we use this one even though we added this one from here. The reason is that I do not want to enable this next button from here. You will have different kind of a scenario, different kind of complications in your project. So we will add a trigger from base layer over here. Change status of next button to normal when timeline start. No, when when variable changes. Which variable changes? When variable changes, variable 4 changes. Okay, and also the same time we are adding a condition for sure that variable 1 is equal to true, and variable 2 is equal to true, even though we know that any case these variables are true, because unless these are true he cannot jump for the fourth one. But I just want to recheck or want to show this functionality to you so that we can verify this one, just adding on trigger to the next as well. So now what happened, we are sorry, maybe there is a trigger. Okay, over here, not timeline start when user click to the next button. Okay, so the next button was the different challenge. So we have this one, first, second, third, and fourth. We can see fourth are active, and then it shows our next button is active. So these are the different approaches that you can follow as well. You just have to think differently, different logically, different way of implementations that you can do, and you can have your sample as well. So just want to summarize you all. First one that we did in a very simple way, we have a 4 layer, we have 4 button, we just click boom 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 by clicking this tab layer. Second one, we just change the structure. We just created one rectangle. On a rectangle slide we have we have a structure for this, that tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, tab 4. And third one that we created, the third one we have a sequential approach that over there we check the status for these all 4 buttons, either they are visited or not, and depending upon them we are controlling this next button over here. So once the 4 button is completed, then we are changing the state for the next button as well. So similarly for the method 4, we created it as 4 variables, and we control it with the help of a variable. So I think this has been completed or covered, this most famous, and these are most helpful for any of your e-learning project. Hoping I did something helpful for you people. Have a good walk.